Most guitarists think their problem is chords. The hidden danger is rhythm. If your timing is shaky, your songs will always fall apart. You can learn 100 chords, but if your timing's off, nothing works. This lesson was pulled straight from a private masterclass I taught to paying members. And today I'll give you the exact step-by-step system to lock in your rhythm so every song finally flows. Let's go. Hey, welcome along to this masterclass. Today's masterclass is Rhythm and Timing 101. A guide to developing solid technique with tight timing on guitar. So before we kick things off, I want to say welcome. You might know me already, and if you don't, my name is Dave. I'm from the School of Guitar. And this masterclass is around how to strum basically in time, no matter what strum pattern you're doing. Because we can struggle with timing no matter what stage of guitar we're at, depending on what strum pattern. So this is for you if, here are a few things. If you want to steady up your strumming, especially when you strum fast, this is for you if you struggle to play along with songs or even jamming with others. If you speed up or fall behind when you play, and that includes strumming or finger picking, because rhythm and timing, it's the same thing for strumming and finger picking. This is for you if you want to focus more in on your technique and your timing in particular. Maybe you have a few strum patterns under your belt and you want to get a bit more in depth on the technique. There's also for you if you understand the basics of rhythm theory, but you don't feel like your strum flows or it sounds as musical perhaps as the song. Maybe your strum comes apart as you sing and play. Maybe your strumming's okay for it and then you sing and play and it starts to rattle. So, or if you're a mix of any of the above, my God, I know I was, you're in the right place. So, how to get the most out of this masterclass? One, I'd suggest you watch it, pause it as you need, and take notes. So if there's anything in it that you suddenly go, oh, that's cool, never thought of that, or you want to grab your guitar and try it, just pause the masterclass, but keep it on screen in case we get sidetracked, and just try it out or take some notes in your book, right? So the second thing is the rhythm exercises I'm going to share today, to add them to your practice routine. You'll see more on that shortly. And the third thing is with this practice routine is to pencil it in. Because otherwise what'll happen is it'll be a cool idea and we might go, do you know what, I'll do that soon. No, that sounds cool. And then a new song might come out or you'll find something. I know this happens to me a ton. So just pencil it in your Google Calendar or in your physical calendar, wherever you keep your things. So here is the thing. Original sounding, I know. But the thing basically is I've written this little diagram on the screen and we'll flip here. So if we take a look at this iceberg, I'm a guitar teacher, not an artist. An iceberg, we have the thing here. And the thing is, we often try to just sing and play at once. And what happens with that is we often comment on it and go, my singing and playing doesn't work together or my hands don't sync up. And we're often commenting on our singing and playing together. But with respect to rhythm and strum patterns, if we take a closer look underneath what's going on, you see here, you have your chord shapes. So this is what's underneath the iceberg. On the real tip, we have our singing and playing, but underneath we have our rhythms. We could have our dynamics, more on that in a while. That's the getting loud and soft in the song or certain parts of the rhythm. And all these things are happening, and there's much more things as well, you know, like there's little things like how we hold the pick, how we're positioned, and all this stuff is going on at once. But we generally tend to think of it as one thing. And what happens with that is it's really hard to know then, how is our rhythm? How is our timing? We might have an idea and we mightn't. How I knew in school was we'd be playing and next thing I hear, slow down. The teacher would just be like, I was speeding up, right? That's how I knew. And then remove the teacher from the equation. How do you know at home? And that's why there's different environments. So with your playing of rhythm, you're going to have when you play on your own, that's the hardest time to know if you're keeping your timing, because if you're just playing strictly on your own, it could vary. The other environment is that you play along with the play along track on YouTube. Like you put on a video and you just start to play with it. Another scenario is you play along with the song. You play along with others. There's all these different scenarios. But the hardest one is if you only play on your own. And that's why at the very least I'd suggest play with the metronome. The metronome can be boring, I agree. But there's another cool little tech tool I have to share with you today that's really going to help with playing with something before you're ready to play with the song. Because playing with the song can sometimes, it's too far a bridge to gap, or it's too far a gap to build a bridge to get to. So that is the thing. We often try and do all of the stuff at once, and it's hard to know how our timing really is. Which leads us to the single most important thing of today. It's to divide, do, and review. Scenario one, as we said, and I just want to lay the foundations of this because it's easy to skip this stuff and to go, that's well and good, but I think it's okay. But the think isn't certainty, and that's what we got to watch out for. So here's scenario one. I'm playing a song and I'm going. Now, you would have heard there was a bit of pushing and pulling off the tempo. I sped up, slowed down a bit. And there are certain key parts of songs that you're more prone to mistiming on than others. And we'll get to those later in the masterclass, so keep an eye out. And because of that there, I was doing everything all at once. And it was so hard. But if I divide it, into like one chord, how's my timing on one chord? If I do the strum pattern on that chord with something that I know if I'm in time or not. And that's where a tech tool will come in. And then if I review it, if I go, how's this going? Am I ready for the next chord? And then we bridge it like that, rather than the all at once thing. So that's what we're aiming to do. Divide, do, and review. And as you're working through this, one of the most important things I could share is to share your playing updates. One of the greatest confidence builders on guitar is seeing how far you've come. Memories are one way to think about how far you've come. Tangible video evidence is the other. Videos are there. Videos, like a picture paints 1,000 words. I don't know how many words video paints. And it has sound. And for that reason, I highly encourage you to share playing videos inside our community. And I consider it probably one of the most important things you could do for your playing. Because you're sharing a video, you're more likely to take action on what you're learning. And that way, you're setting a date to share something. And as you share your videos, I did it already where I took 3 videos of Coleman. Shout out to Coleman. He put 3 videos up of his progress and they're all spaced out. And I took the videos and I put them back to back. And it's when you see the progress back to back, it builds so much more belief in your playing than hazy memories of going, yeah, that used to be hard, but I don't find it hard now. Because as humans, we're wired to think of the next thing, the next thing, the next thing. But having videos is the most important thing you could do to hold yourself accountable, to get support, and to build your confidence to see how far you're coming. Right? So that is my 2 cents on videos. There's a show in Ireland called Reeling in the Years, and it's like where it looks back on the good and the not so good parts of periods of time. And for us as guitar players, that's good to do because it encourages us to keep going. So my number one ask you is to share a video in the community of yourself working on this. Doesn't have to be perfect, just your progress. And there might be a part of you going, man, I need to work on my timing. I need to sort out the singing and playing. I need to do all this stuff. God, there's so much to do here. And share a video. Well, here's the thing. The good news is this can just be a part of your practice routine. I'm not saying for a second that you need to stop doing songs and just focus on your timing. This is a part of your practice routine. So put it in as something to focus on and play your songs as well. We did have a strumming 101 masterclass also. So in case you're wondering, what is the difference between this one and the strumming one, since they're both rhythm, what I'm going to say here is, if we take a quick look through the strumming on the left, it was understanding basic strumming patterns, exploring techniques, applying the patterns into songs. Like, for example, we're not doing any songs today. It's timing and rhythm. How to count rhythms, how to read the strum patterns online on websites such as Ultimate Guitar and YouTube. Whereas if we come over to the right, and the purpose of today's masterclass, it's to introduce timing concepts. There's interactive timing exercises, an exploration around groove and feel, metronome and tempo control, and some words around dynamics and expression in timing. So it's much more, to me, it's much more like nitty gritty than the other one. The other one is super important as well, and it'll pop up. I can share a link to it for those of you who have access to it, along with this as well. So, understand first, play second. That is an approach that we're taking here today. The understand first, play second approach is as follows. I could have just given you the exercises, and it's fast and it's easy. But the understanding, the underlying foundations wouldn't be there. And it's when the tech tools are taken away or something changes and you're out and about without them, that all you've got left is your understanding what's up here and your guitar. And that's why we're laying foundations today. I'm going to show you how to do it without the cool tech tool thing I have. And then we're going to get into the tech tool, right? And the purpose of that is, I feel that when you can think like a teacher, it sends you into a more powerful playing position than playing without thinking too much or thinking just like a player, a guitar player. It's when you understand the ins and outs of how things work, you've much more better handle on how to communicate it and how to play it. And that's why it's an understand first, play second teaching approach. So today's class outline, we're going to begin with time signatures. We're going to take a look at just the three main time signatures, but which one we're going to focus on the most, because when you get it working on one time signature, it's going to help you on the other two that follow. Next up, we'll take a look at what's really going down when perhaps your rhythm and timing isn't working out, how to pinpoint it and how to move past it. Then we take a look at the old way. This is the way I learned rhythm and timing. It's the way that some people still learn rhythm and timing. It's very useful. It's very musical. So we're going to dip into that one also. But then we're going to move into the new way, the way that uses technology, that uses tools and techniques that make your playing life so much easier, that allows you to move forward faster and make more progress. But to do that, we got to know how the tech works. And to allow you to discover this, I'm going to go into the tool and I'm going to give you a high-level overview of the main features you need to learn how to use. And also how to play around with it in general and hit the reset button so you can kind of learn all the cool things it has to offer and not break anything. So, because that was a concern of mine when I started using it first. Next up, we've your guitar gym. This is where we're going to go. This is where your exercises will be, and it's where you're going to begin to map your progress with what you're putting into action today. Before we wrap up, then we've dynamics and groove. Dynamics and groove are like the icing on top. They're like the cool stuff, but we got to get our rhythm and timing tight first. And for that reason, that's why the primary focus today is rhythm and timing. Lastly, then, we have action time. That's where all the info, we begin to put it into action so you begin to see it in your skills and your songs. Let's begin by taking a look at time signatures. Basically, when it comes to time signatures, we have three different time signatures we could be focusing on a lot of the time on guitar. We take a look, we could have 4/4, that's where there's 4 beats in a bar. We could have 3/4, that's where we have 3 beats in a bar. Then we have 6/8. Right now, those are three of the most used time signatures on guitar. There are more, but for the purpose of today, we're just going to focus on 4/4. Because when you apply it on 4/4, you'll be able to take that understanding and that technique and timing into your 3/4 time signature and your 6/8 time signature. And that's why I say get it on one time signature first and your technique benefits the others. So What's really going down with our playing? Well, if something isn't working for you on guitar, there's three possibilities. If you play and you don't feel like the rhythm or timing is together. The first thing is you could be getting the strum, but missing metronome clicks. So you could be, the metronome could be clicking away and you could be going correct strum, but it's gone separate to the metronome. And believe it or not, a lot of players miss this. In lessons, I'd see a lot where I'd watch a student and they'd have separate and they wouldn't have realized yet, because you're so busy thinking about playing. And that's why the tech tool is so good. It's visual. So you're going to be seeing and watching what you're doing. And if both don't match up, the eyes catch it a lot quicker than the ear in the beginning. So that's the first thing, getting the strum but missing the metronome clicks. The second one thing is you could be missing strum arrows or on the parts you don't play. Now, for this, I'm going to go to the board a sec and I'm going to do this strum pattern. Now, this one's quite common online. This is our classic down, down, up, down, up. And there will be music notation in a while. Don't worry, it's coming. But for now, we're just going to use this for demonstration purposes. So if I played what's on screen there, I get this. Okay, that's it working. Now, problem one, we said the first possible problem could be you're playing it okay, but it's not with the metronome. The second thing here could be that maybe some of the timing is off. So for that reason, if we look here, like this is 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and okay. So that's how we count it. We'd go 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and. Now, here's the trick. To sort this out, so what you could do is get a metronome app. I have one set here to 60 BPM, and I'm going to set it going like this. Now it's just popped up to 65, we'll work with that. Now, and I'm going like this. That's in time with it. If I'm out of time, now, here's what's happening. It's, this live. Okay, so here's what's happening. Basically, as we look at it, you'll notice here that at any given stage, there's only one of two problems happening. It's going to be that one of the arrows is out of time, or it was where there was a space, there was a rest. I was not playing anything. Now, the old way, you'd have to figure that out yourself. Now, I'm going to share how to do that in a moment. But that's the name of the game. Either you're getting the strum pattern and you're missing metronome clicks, or the arrows, there's something amiss with the arrows. Now, it could be a bit of both also. I have dabbled in both, still do from time to time. And we're going to get more in depth on this in a moment when we go into the old way of sorting this out. But there are two technique things that pop up for players. I call them the hammer fist and l'artiste. Hope I pronounced that correctly. There's two major technique things I see that happen with players. And the first one is the hammer fist. And the reason technique matters here is how you play can affect how easy it is to keep in time. So the hammer fist looks like this. It's basically where I grip the pick nice and tight and I strum like this. Right? Really hard. Almost like a wrecking ball is the other word for it as well. Like basically just going like that. Okay, now the quick fix for this, just relax your hand, take the pick out. That's how I like to hold your pick. Let the fingers relax. Not like this. Like that. Okay? So that'll be the trick. So you relax. Now, of course, it's a habit to rewire. So it's not something that you can just decide that, oh, I'm done now. That'll be something put into your practice routine and take it on one chord, take it for a while, keep an eye on it. Right? And it's I hate to break it to you, but these habits can be tricky to sort out. But that's why I'd encourage you, if you keep looking down going, did it again, to keep looking at it until you start to notice the hand just naturally begin to behave itself. That's technique one. The second technique that can happen is this, and it's called l'artiste. It's because sometimes we could strum like this. Keep an eye on my hand. I go like this. Kind of like an artist painting, you know? And like the thing is, there's a time to do that. And even if you have a bit of that going on with your playing, it's okay. Like, just to reduce it a small amount. The reason I suggest that is because when you go to speed up, if you're in this flowing thing, if you imagine somebody painting like that, it's really hard to keep that flow if you have to speed up. You get more into the painting the bathroom wall sort of thing, right? So, speaking from experience. And now, that's the bit to watch, okay? So, the two, the hammer fist and l'artiste, okay? Now, moving on with those, that's a bit on technique, which brings us to the old way. So the old way, we said, was when you are going through the rhythm pattern, you have a metronome going, and you're looking at it going, this isn't working, but I don't know why. So what I'd suggest first is to start with the basic beats. So it's on these four that your metronome marks happen. Right, so then I look and I go, okay, what am I playing? It's down, down, down. Okay, I'm ignoring the rest. On this 3, there's nothing. So I'd set the metronome going. Like this. And I aim to go 1, 2, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I basically do that until I'm sure I'm getting those beats. It's basic beats first. Because when we look at it, if you get it on these, all that's left are these 3 arrows going up. All right, so that's pretty good going. You get half the things working already. And then you can turn your attention to the up arrow. So I'd start with the down beats first, the main beats. Then I'd go to the ands. And to do the ands, it goes like this. Set it again. Okay. So now I'm going 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and I'll do it with the thing. So I'm going 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and then I combine them after a while. I check back on the other ones. I go 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I give it a go all together. Maybe the first half and go like this. I go 1, 2, and 3, 4. 1, 2, and 3, 4. And see the way my head is bobbing? That helps. Okay, the next thing is if that isn't working, you basically divide it up. Like you divide it, just break it down. Is this working? Is this working? Then can you bridge the gap? Okay, and this would be my approach for any strum pattern. Take the beats first if I'm having problems with it, then add in the off beats, then divide and conquer. Now, that is the old way. It's where you set the metronome and you basically just lock into the metronome. And then after a while, maybe you play with a YouTube video, you could slow it down, you could play with the song then, and that's all well and good. And for some players and for some times, that's all you need. But with advances in technology, and I was talking with the student lately, and they said this new technology is the main way they learn online. So we're going to move from the old way. And this brings us to the follow-through formula. Now, this formula works with the new way and the old way. So that's why I've put it in the middle of both. And if we go back to what we were saying about, like, you know, when you sing and play, If things aren't working, everything's going on at once, really hard to know what's going on. Well, then if we separate that out and go, fine, I'll stop singing, I'll just play, and we play everything. It's hard to know what's going on. Everything's going on, all the song. And then if we break it down to a song section, we might start to identify going, man, it's in the chorus, or it's in the verse. And then if you take it a level further going, well, is it in a chord progression? Or is it on specific chord change? Is that where my timing goes off? Or maybe it's because of one chord. Because I've just learned F, and F is really tricky, and I don't like it. And now my rhythm is going off. It can travel through any of these at any time. Instead of chancing it, doing everything all at once, and then needle in the haystack stuff, trying to go, well, which bit isn't working here? What I suggest is to do this. It's to do the follow through formula. It's where when you're learning the strum pattern and you're focusing on your rhythm and timing, to do it on one chord on its own. This can be a bar chord, it can be an open chord. Then when you're steady and confident with that, put in one easy chord change. Just one. Maybe a G to an E minor if it's open chords. Maybe a G bar chord going to an open E minor chord. Then when you get that, building confidence, go to your easy chord progression and space out the chords. Play double of each so you've time to settle in on them. The whole time, you're confident that the rhythm and timing is intact. When you're ready for that, then go for a song section like a verse, an intro, a chorus, a pre-chorus, a bridge. Then start connecting them up. And that's what's going to get you to follow through. Because at every step of the way, you'll know if you're getting it or not. And disclaimer, no singing yet at this stage. And take it all at a slow tempo. Because there was a time before a student came to me and said, I tried that thing, the follow through formula, taking it bit by bit at a time, and it's not working. I was like, play there. And this was happening. Going way too fast. So you're better off taking it slow and steady. No singing yet. I promise you, when you work on this stuff and you play it enough times and you get the foundations in place, no one's ever excited about it. I've never heard anyone look at somebody's house and go, God, I heard they had a lovely foundation put on that house. People talk about the windows and the blinds and the wallpaper, into wallpaper, paint, furniture, all the cool stuff inside, all the lovely stuff on the outside. But if there's no foundation underneath that house, nothing will count. And it's the same for us in our playing. So that's the trick. Now, let's move into the new way. I'm not sure you're familiar with the movie The Matrix, but those are the hands of Morpheus, right? And in the movie, I'll paraphrase here, in the movie, Morpheus gives the main character a choice to take one of two pills. And one is like a new way of seeing things, and then there's the old way to keep going the way things are going. And to me, the old way is the metronome stuff, and that's valid, and it's still important because without technology, you still need your musicianship skills. But the new way, it's more visual, which gives you better feedback. It's very adaptable for tempos and everything. It can get you very focused. Measurable, you'll know how you're doing in bars and you'll know what to focus on. Okay, so the new way. An overview of how this works. Well, this is our tool. It's called Sound Slice. And before we would have used a chord with the metronome. But using this tool, and we'll go more in depth on how this works, but first I'll just share with you what it does. All you got to do is, you hit play, I'll give you 4 metronome marks, right, and so on. So you have the orange cursor, the things light up, you know you're on a G chord, you can hit play. Now, why is this better? Why is this the new way? Why is it better than a metronome? Well, the first thing is you're getting a visual match. If you miss a strum and visually you saw the orange cursor go over the chord, you know there's a mismatch. That's much more easier to track than using your ear going, I think I'm missing the metronome. And plus, that's playing a chord. That's playing the G chord. You play your G chord, that's an equal comparison of sound. If you're using a metronome, you're comparing the sound of your chord versus a tick or a talk, right? So that's the first thing. You hit play and you can play with one chord. Now, in your action items, I've this simplified, okay? Using our follow through formula, you notice here it's on one chord. All these exercises are on one chord for this example. Then I have another example done. Do you remember what the second one was? We had a chord change. G going to E minor. I picked an easy chord change. And these exercises are from going G to E minor. And within each sheet here, there's 3 levels of difficulty. There's our bass level, which is doing all downs. Then I have level 1, 2, and 3. You'll see them labeled. So for example, if we pick 3, and I'll speed this up a bit here. I'll do it at 80 just for demo. Right, so you hear that's a lot more detailed, whereas level 1, or level 1. Yeah, so see what I mean? It's a lot simpler. Now, the thing is, with this, the sound of this tool, I get it. It sounds like, I don't know, video game music, final boss music or ad music or something. It doesn't sound that pleasant, and your tone won't sound like that because we'll want a nice flowing strum. We won't want to sound like that thing. So just keep that in mind. So it's good for comparison, G chord to G chord, but keep in mind that we won't want to mimic the exact tone of the strum. So that's our easy chord change. Now, do you remember what came next? We had our chord, we had our easy chord change, then we had our chord progression. Now I've picked, with respect to whatever level of guitar you're at, one of the more common / basic ones. And it's okay if you don't get this yet because I have things to help in a sec. So again, we have G, E minor, C, and D. Okay, so you can swap between them with all the different levels. And these are going to be in your action items. There'll be the 3 separate exercise files, and you can basically choose which ones you do. And that's an overview of how this works and why it's better than a metronome. Everything's a lot more visual, you get a lot more feedback, and it's a lot more customizable, which we're going to get into the next section. Which brings us to how the tech works, and with this tool, Sound Slice, and how to use it. So if we go back to our first example, and we know we hit play to get it going, and we're going to go down here, and we showed what was on the screen, of course. Everything's explained, what to ignore as well. Let's look at the bottom bar here. The first thing you see here is the 60 BPM. That's just like setting the BPM on the metronome. Except with this, you can also set it to 75, 50, 25% speed. So do that, right? And I'll go slower. Clips, we'll leave alone for now. Now, the loop function. Let's just say I'm going to go to the chord change example. And let's just say I have a bit of a problem changing from G to E minor. I hit loop. Well, what I do is I click the bar I want to go from. So I'm going to click this bar here because this is the second bar of G. The orange cursor is placed ahead of the chord. Very important. I go down here and I click loop. Now I drag this and it ends. See this bar? I end it here. So now I've told this that I want to loop it from the start of this bar to the end of this bar. So I hit play. It should go again. 4 count. There we go. Okay, so that'll keep going around in a loop. So if you want to practice your change, you can do that. And you get the 4 metronome count before it starts each time. So that loop function allows you to focus on certain bars. Now, the next step is, if you see here in the small writing on this one, it says focus down here where I'm wiggling. I hit focus. Now it's removed everything else. It's taken it away. So it's almost like this is the only thing you have to work on or focus on. Then we can get down to work on it. So with this, it just looks a lot better. And when you're done with it then, you can hit close and it brings you back out. Okay, so focus and close. Now, the next thing then is we have fretboard. I don't really use that. It just displays how the chords are used. We've volume, which you can louden the volume of the guitar. You can select different sounds as well if you really don't like that guitar sound. The metronome volume, you can make it louder or quieter. And then the other thing is with the metronome, I'm going to click the metronome too. And you can turn off the metronome if you wish, if you only want to hear the sound of the chord. And also counting. That's what happened that time. You saw the way I was expecting it just to keep going around in a loop. You can turn that off if you wish. You can set it to always before playback or during loops and clips. Here's a tip. The way I learned to use this program, I basically just played with all the settings. And the really cool thing is, let's just say you change everything. Watch, I'm going to put this up to 150 BPM. I'm going to loop this and everything. So watch. I hit refresh on my browser. It's reset the whole thing. So you don't need to worry about breaking anything. You hit reset, the whole thing goes back to scratch. So that was how to loop things, difficult bars, and how to slow it down using the BPM. Now, let's just say you want to train yourself to speed up your playing. Well, sometimes it's tricky, and this is why I call this the new way, because if you're using a metronome, you gotta have your fast speed, and then you might have to slow it down. And then you practice at that speed, then you crank up the metronome, and you're hoping you can play it. You play with it, and it doesn't work. And then you're like, you have to go back. Where do I go back to? Well, with this, right, there's a really cool feature. And I'm going to pick it on this one. Now, by the way as well, I've labeled these as you see here. I've set these bars to repeat for 4 times. And I actually created these from scratch using a different program I use. Now, if you're interested in learning how to write your own tab to create your own ones of these, and again, that's a deeper level of learning too. So I recommend that. Let me know in the community. Post comments about it. Just say you're interested in a tab writing masterclass. We can do it. So we've the 4 by here. I've written that by 4. Now, watch this. I'm going to slow this down. So watch, I'm going to set it to 80 BPM. And whatever BPM you're at yourself right now with your playing, it's okay. There's no such thing as 60 BPM. Doesn't mean it's crap. 60 BPM is valid because you could be doing a really tricky strum pattern at 60 BPM. You could be new to guitar at 60 BPM. The 60 isn't really it's just a marker. It doesn't really mean a lot. So I'm going to set this to 80 here. And watch what I want to do. And I'll grab my guitar in a second. I'm going to hit speed training. Had fun with this in lessons. Let's just say I can play this GT minor thing at, hold on now. So I select the bars like this. And let's just say I want to do the speed training. And I'm starting at 80 and I want my final speed to be 110. So there's 30 BPM of a difference. Or actually, do you know what? Yeah, okay. And each time it'll play 3 times. So watch what's going to happen. I'm saying this is going to start me at 80 BPM. I want my final speed to be 110 BPM. It's kind of like getting on a treadmill, the way that if you want to build up to a speed, you'd warm up to it. And sometimes as well, I remember being on a treadmill, and this is not fitness advice because it can be dangerous if you don't do it right. I remember seeing, could I do a certain speed on a treadmill? But I built up to it. So I went from whatever, 10 and a half speed to 11. Then I was 11 to 11.2, 0.5 to 12, that just bit by bit. Now, 80 to 110 BPM, we increase it by 10 each time, but it's going to play 3 times. So it's going to play 3 times at 80 BPM. Then it's going to count in 4 clicks of a metronome. It's going to ramp it up to 90. I play again. It's going to ramp it up to 100. Then it's going to ramp it up to 110. Let's give it a go. So I'm going to grab my guitar. Let's see what happens. Okay. And a tip for doing anything on computer with guitar, have whatever you need ready here. So if you're up the neck, be here. If you have your chord, be here. And have your pick, thumb and index, and use your middle finger to set things off. That way you can hit play and then be ready to go. Okay, here we go. Okay, I'm gonna stop that a sec. Okay, and I'm gonna change one thing because this is a long bar measure, so it will take quite a while. So what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna set it to, just for the example of this, I'm gonna set it to 100, and I'm gonna say this, it speeds up every one time. And I'm gonna set it to 140 BPM, right? Just for the demo purposes. What I would suggest with what you're working on, start slow, go for 3 times, and then increase the speed. And for you, it might be 5 BPM. It might be 10. It could be 20. Play around with it. Here we go. So that's our first time. And see the 100 down at the bottom? It goes up faster. See the numbers keep going up? And that's it. All right. So with that example, the important thing is it gradually sped up, right? And because of that, you're warmed up into it. And it also gives you feedback, like maybe 140 would have been too much for me there. But if I managed 120 pretty well, that was my new baseline, right? So that's the cool thing. And then you can hit out of that and you can turn it off and go back to 100. And again, hit refresh if you need to do anything. And you can do, so you've all your rhythms here. Remember, we're not paying too much attention to the rhythm notation or the tab if we don't need to. One quick little tip here on tone and technique is as follows. You'll notice here, not all the lines have numbers. And that's because for some of these, for the downs, I'm strumming all down. But if you see lines here with only a couple of the numbers here, these are your thinnest strings. These are your thickest. So on this drum pattern, I'm going down, 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 up, down, down. But the down, up, down, down at the end isn't strummed on all the strings at all the time. This is how this sounds on guitar. And I'll do it on the main cam here. I'm going this hand. I'll do it again. See what I mean? It's not going. So there's little nuances in this that you'll spot with the way it's written. And remember, each bar, it follows the pattern. So it's just one strum pattern per bar here. And your ears will let you know too. So that one there is the same as this one. And they're generally played the same as the E minor one then. And that is how this tool works. Now, I have done this with G to E minor, and then for the chord progression, I picked G, E minor, C, and D. If you're the type of player who already has bar chords, you could play a G bar chord, E minor bar chord, C, and D with this. Yours will sound a bit different to this, but the general sound will still match. So you could do that if you want. Like there's any amount of combinations and permutations you can do with writing your own chord progressions. I picked general ones so you could get down to the tool and use it and put this into action to focus on your rhythm and timing. But as I said, if you're looking for like more info and stuff on how to write your own tab using a tool like this, let me know. Be cool to do a masterclass on it. I know that my understanding of tab and rhythms and how things connected up definitely deepened when I had to like write it out instead of just hear and play. Which brings us to the next thing, your guitar gym, right? So your guitar gym is basically thinking of taking exercises, putting them into your practice routine and working out with them. You know, like I get that this is not songs, like, and it's not singing and playing, and there's nobody who'll want to sit and watch us drill this stuff, but it's this stuff that makes you the player, that when you're singing and playing at gatherings, at play-alongs, at sing songs, wherever you're playing guitar, that the work you did on this stuff will matter hugely. So that's the reason I call it your guitar gym. I think of it as a place you go, and I don't know about you, but like, unless unless I go to a sauna or something, I'm never buzzed about going to a gym. But I always feel better if I get on a treadmill or do some running afterwards. I always feel better after, but I'm never that buzzed about like going. But here's the thing, like your guitar gym, just remember that you mightn't be that buzzed about going to do this stuff, but just think of what's lying on the other side of it for your rhythm and timing. And this directly benefits your rhythm and timing more than songs, because you're working on the bars, you're seeing what's not working, you're slowing it down so it's steady, and you're building it back up. So those are key things to watch. Now, and it's all built on the follow through formula. One chord, one easy chord change, one easy chord progression, one song selection. Which brings us to dynamics and groove. As I said, dynamics and groove go on top. Like, we can get into percussive styles and things like that, but if our timing isn't together, it doesn't matter. So the dynamics and groove stuff, I'm going to share a few points around it. We're not going to go too in depth on it at all, but just to say a few things, it comes after your rhythm and timing sounds tight on a strum. Think of fluency versus pronunciation. Like, to me, the sounding tight with your timing is learning to pronounce things on guitar. And then the fluency, like appearing masterful and things like that, that follows it. And it's built up of dynamics, of course, and that involves variations in the volume of what we play. I'll go more in depth in a sec. The intensity of what we play and expression of what we play. And you can go soft to loud. It adds depth and emotion to performances. Because like if I take something like this, if I go, like, you know that one, if I was to play that, the way it's written on guitar tabs and the way it sounds, see, there's a different feel. There's softness and loudness, there's expressiveness. So we'll be talking more about that in a sec, and it adds more emotion to the performance. So groove then. Groove is basically the rhythmic feel of what you're playing. And I have a few groovy songs that I'll share with you in a sec. So dynamics, loudness and volume. The first thing is you could be adjusting the volume of your strumming to either play loud or soft. So the thing of how that affects timing is a lot of times players, myself included, when they have to get loud on something, they'll speed up out of excitement. Or if they have to get quiet, they'll slow down. And it just feels like I'm pulling back here with my loudness, so I need to pull back with my speed. No, the tempo will be consistent, but you'd be playing quieter. So that's one thing that can affect it. Now, the next thing that can get affected is intensity. So the energy and power of your strumming. For example, if I was doing like this, if I was going like... you're hitting into that, you know, it's easy to get caught into the thing of it and to start speeding up again. So that's intensity. And you see, like it is more intense than the loudness. You can be... So that's how it affects your timing. The next thing is accents. Emphasizing certain notes by playing them louder or with more force. So if I was doing this sort of thing... what was that song? Here's the thing, we started off friends. Kelly Clarkson, Since You've Been Gone. Like, that's a G chord. Strumming the top two. Like, that focus on the accent of what you're playing, that can throw all the timing out the window as well, even though it's on a G. Then we have articulation, controlling the clarity and the precision of each part in the strumming pattern. So if there's a tricky part within the strum pattern, sometimes we can go all in on it and hope we'll get it right, and then our timing will go out. So that's where it plays into dynamics. Then sustain. For example, you can be managing the length of time that each of your chords resonates. And that does shape the dynamic of the music. So if it was a song where like, maybe it was going like, see what I mean? It's like lots of spaciousness, and that can be hard to keep in time for players. So that's the thing about dynamics. Now, I touched on some of these already. Key areas where your rhythm might go out because of dynamics. It's when you're going between soft and loud parts within a piece. For example, if you're overemphasizing things or you're underemphasizing things. So what I mean by that is, I mean that if you're picking a chord and if you're really making a part of that chord known by like going like this. That takes so much different focus than just doing all downs on that C chord. Or if you're being quieter. Again, just that focus. Build-ups. Again, increases or decreases in volume. Definitely. I've seen this happen a ton. If you're building up. You know the start of Can't Stop by the Chili Peppers. The Chili Peppers. Right, that one. But if I go... There's a big build-up on a chord. And I've seen players just get excited and the song will suddenly start way faster than it began because of a build-up. Climaxes. So, for example, Bon Jovi, Living in a Prayer, second chorus maybe, it's a lot higher. Like when it gets that a high part, sometimes we get excited and speed up. So that's the thing. Or if there's a breakdown in a song, again, we get slower. And offbeat rhythms. Offbeat rhythms like syncopation, if I was doing something like this. Like that, there's just a different level of push and pull, and sometimes our timing can go out with that too. Which brings us to groove. Groove is more of a feel thing. It's about, like, I found a definition like this online, like, it's about capturing a natural, almost infectious rhythm that makes people want to move. But it's true. Like, the songs I'm about to share in a sec, if you know any of them, you'll just get the feel that they're groovy, more so than that it's about the rhythm. You see what I mean in a sec? And syncopation, again, there's a lovely push-pull dynamic when you add those in. And adding different strumming patterns into this can add depth to it, because the more detailed the strum pattern, if you can make it groovy, it can sound really cool. And there are percussive elements as well added into it. I'll get to songs in a second, so you see all this in action. And then locking into it, like grooving with the drummer, grooving with somebody, that's where the magic happens. And that's why the percussive element also matters, because if you're trying it on your own, it'll sound a bit unusual. So for example, I'll take Staple It Together by Jack Johnson. So if I do this, if I play it without groove, right, so it's just, I'm getting the arrows, it's in time, but if I go like this, you see there's a bit more of a feel to it. But if I go like this, you see that sort of feel thing going on with it, okay? So, and you'd spot this on YouTube. You see bands playing like Foals are another great example of a band. They often play like that, where they're feeling it out, like, you know? It's not like the shredding away where they just stand still in case it affects their playing. And other songs, Feel Good Inc., boom, do, get down on it, play that funky music. Funk contains a ton of groove. Neon by John Mayer, an amazing fingerstyle guitar piece. And Superstition by Stevie Wonder. So those are a few you could add to your Spotify playlist to get some groove into your life if you're needing it. Now, and we're just about at that moment where I'm about to leave you with your action items, because all this stuff, yeah, it's cool info. And we spoke about how it's great to have it up here, but it's about what you do here that matters. So please share your videos inside the community and be sure to take just even a fraction of this. It'll make a huge difference. And this is just a season of your playing to focus on. It's not something you always have to work on forever. Promise you that. So before we do, we time signatures. We focused on 4/4. I said about what's really going on. And for that example, we had our iPad. We talked about the thing where we're trying to do everything all at once, but we got to break it all apart. And that's where we broke down our rhythm using the old way, where we had our metronome and we're counting the arrows and we're trying to listen to see what wasn't working. And that's all well and good, important skills to have. But then we found the new way, which was our new tool, Sound Slice. You'll have those links in your workbook, so have fun with those. And then we talked about how the tech works. We went in depth on how to read through it, how to ignore certain stuff, how to use the cool little hacks it has to focus on stuff, to speed it up, to slow it down. You need your speed trainer, the metronome, how to count in and play with it. And in these examples that I've given you, it's on basic chords like G, E minor, C, and D. But that's because the number one goal of this is to focus on your timing and to focus on the tool to use it. Now, I can do another masterclass again on how to write your own tab, because to create these, I use them in a separate program. And if there's interest in that, I can do one. But for now, I wanted to give you the stuff. So just get this working on those. And then what you could do over time is make your own and like put bar chords in and practice along with that. It's a pretty cool tool. So then we did your guitar gym, where I said, those are your action items to get on and to put in your practice routine. We talked about dynamics and groove, a bit about percussive playing, but that comes after rhythm and timing is tightened. And that was our action time. So before we get into your action items, the very first action item that matters is sharing your biggest nugget, takeaway that is, inside our community. I call them nuggets. They're like little golden nuggets. Whatever little bit stuck out to you the most, just take a second, go inside our community. You'll see a category called nuggets and you'll have to share it there. Now, why is this important? First of all, it's important because it takes this from being information to being something that you're now thinking about and thinking, what stood out the most to me? And then it takes it into this mini teaching frame of, okay, if I was to share that with others, what my biggest takeaway was, how do I say it? It just, the brain starts to wire differently with the info when it goes from info to sharing it. And when I was going to guitar, I went to guitar every Saturday morning at 11 o'clock in the morning, and I couldn't figure this out. I'd go to school on Monday and I'd meet some friends who also did guitar lessons with other teachers over the weekend, and I'd ask them, what did you learn? And they'd pause and go, it was bar chords. Yeah, I was doing bar chords. I was like, right, okay. So what about them though? Like, whoa, what were you doing? Or what? Like, this is like, Google was new at the time. So like, I was there hungry for more guitar knowledge / stuff. And bar chords, as you can see, bar chords gives us a label, not info. So when you share your nugget inside the community, I'd encourage you to go a step farther than sharing stuff like, Joe, cool masterclass. It was, I thought the tech was cool. You know, go into in depth on it. Share why you thought it was cool. Share what it'll allow you to do. Share maybe what you were doing before that wasn't working and how this will help. Stuff like that. Because after I left my lesson on a Saturday morning at 11 o'clock, I'd go down the stairs, it was above a hair salon, and I'd meet my friend. We'd walk and we'd get food. And we would go together to orchestra. It was a 15-minute walk from the time I left lessons to orchestra. He went to this very same teacher. Now, for those 15 minutes, what do you think we talked about? Guitar. We talked about what we learned in our lessons, what our takeaways were, what we thought was cool, stuff that stuck out, nuggets. And what this did was this thing of like thinking about it, it goes into a different area of the brain. It goes into a different area of the mind. And on the break at orchestra, we talked some more about it. And then I'd be driven home by my mum every Saturday. And I don't know how she did it. She'd listen to me talk about guitar non-stop in the car all the way home. And like, I'd be telling her what I learned, like telling her about like Steve Vai and Joe Satriani and all these virtuosos, as if she'd care. But it was important to me, and I was talking about it. And basically, there was more time spent talking and sharing about what happened in that 30-minute lesson, the way we've our masterclass here today. There was more time spent communicating with others about it than the lesson was itself. And then when I went down to sit down to practice at home, I could remember so much. And I couldn't figure this out for years. Like, I mean, years. I was like, how come other people come home from their lessons and they're saying to me they did bar chords and they don't remember the lesson and they say they like guitar? Well, it's the sharing. So, for that reason, the most important thing for a fact I can say to do is to have a think and type a couple of sentences about what your biggest takeaway is inside the community. It's going to help you, and it's going to help everyone else. Right, so then on to your other action items. Let's take a look. With the actions, you're going to see that we have a school guitar journey map that's in development. It's been fleshed out as we speak. It's been upgraded. And these are the 5 key stages to learning guitar. Now, where this comes in for you is the exercises will be in your workbook. You'll see them labeled by stage. If you're unsure what stage you're at, it's totally okay. I'm suggesting for everybody to start with the first rhythm exercise to begin with, everybody. Because if that's the stage you're meant to be at, that's your one. If you feel like you're much farther along, well, you're going to get by it really quick. And if you don't, it's a sign that you need to work on it a bit more before you move to the next stage. So those are our 5 stages. And finally, I want to finish by saying thank you so much. Thanks for your time. Thanks for your attention. Thanks for showing up inside the School of Guitar to learn, to practice, to play, to help others, to share your progress, and for being a part of the community. So I'm so thankful you're here, and have fun. And remember, I'm only a question away, or if it's better for you to just share videos to get some feedback, or if you just want to share them without getting feedback, everything's cool. And I'll see you in your next class. Take care.